Today, I want to talk to you guys about a little something called modesty. Bring out the burlap sack! Hi guys, my name is Lillian Fallon, and this is Ascension Presents. Today, I'm going to talk to you about our favorite topic, which is modesty. And I think a lot of us have experienced quite a few modesty talks in our day. If you're a woman, you probably have encountered a few. I currently work as the marketing manager and customer experience manager at Litany, which is a Catholic fashion label in New York. Prior to that, I worked at Verily magazine as a style editor, and I'm constantly posting on social media all kinds of things style related. I give talks, I'm on podcasts, and this topic of modesty always comes up. Sometimes I shirk away from the topic because it's really complicated. Modesty is a complicated topic. But I think that over the years, we've conflated modesty to being only about rules rather than really getting at the core meaning behind modesty. Like, why do we even set out on this modesty mission in the first place? A lot of the times during the talks that I give, girls want specific inches of fabric. They want to know exactly what should you be wearing, how many, inches on your leg, or are you allowed to wear sleeveless things, are you not? But my answer is always the same. Modesty really is about an internal state, and we have to address the core reason of why anybody would dress modestly or immodestly in the first place. And it all boils down to our perception of our worth. When a girl asks me, okay, how do I dress modestly? It's a bigger question of, okay, what are you doing to invest in your worth so that modesty pours out of you naturally in everything that you do? If I could go back to my 16-year-old self and have a new modesty conversation, I would say, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. You're not competing with anybody because you are original. You do not need to use your body to prove that you are beautiful, to prove that you have worth, or to prove that you are worth knowing. For me, modesty isn't necessarily something that I'm thinking about every day. And when I get dressed, the approach isn't ruled by fear of, oh my gosh, I need to make sure that I'm wearing this amount of fabric. But it's something that naturally comes to me because I have that clear understanding of my worth and my identity. Sometimes we become so focused on rules that we don't ask ourselves, well, why is this girl dressing this way? And instead of approaching her and talking about that, we kind of slap on a bunch of rules, which actually end up making her feel worse about herself. And I know that for me, if somebody approached me in a callous way or disgusted in how I was dressing, it just made me feel worse about myself. And if you're dressing in a way that's revealing or objectifying yourself, it's coming from a place where you are already struggling with your self-worth. So we have to get down to brass tacks. We just kind of have to get at the core of what's really going on, because modesty talks and modesty rules sometimes feel like a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. And as we are having these conversations about how to present yourself to the world and how to express yourself through your clothing, we need to simultaneously be reinforcing where women's worth comes from. Another way that having an effective modesty conversation is to affirm that the body is not bad. And the way that we can do this is by talking about how highly esteemed women are and the privileged role that we have as women. So many of us have come to see that the body is something that is this potential of lust and temptation, and we start to see it in a negative light. Another important way that we can have a new modesty conversation is to really reaffirm the dignity of the female form. So during a lot of modesty talks or in this modesty conversation, women feel like there's an unfair, double standard, that men can kind of wear whatever they want, but women are the ones who have to cover up and be careful about what they wear. The fact of the matter is, women and men are different, and a woman's body is particularly sacred. Alice von Hildebrand, in The Privilege of Being a Woman, talks about how a woman's body is a co-creator of creation with God. during the moment of conception, her womb is touched by God, and she becomes a collaborator in life with God. What an incredible gift that is. And a woman's beauty, both physical and internal, is a sign of this highly esteemed role that woman has, because it is only woman who can partake in creation the way that she does. And if you think about the beauty of creation, you think about the galaxies, you think about beautiful landscapes, you think about beautiful cathedrals, these things all call whoever's encountering it to contemplate the divine. And similarly, a woman's beauty causes those around her and who encounters her to contemplate the divine. And if you think about it in Scripture, in Genesis, when Adam encounters Eve, he says, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. It's through Eve's humanity that Adam understands who he is, and he understands that he's made in the image of God, and that so is Eve. So woman has such an important role that she can communicate divine beauty to those around us. And if you think about the church itself, and we think about Our Lady, both of those are feminine. And both of those things are physically so beautiful. And of course, it doesn't, just stop at physical beauty. A part of woman's beauty is her heart. And in becoming co-creator with God in life, she's given a piece of God's heart. Her heart reflects the heart of God. And there's endless beauty in that. And so her physical beauty and her internal beauty are a sign of this highly esteemed role that woman has. And so it's really important to pay reverence to that. I think that sometimes we get so caught up in modesty and thinking that it's this very restrictive thing, and maybe it's the word itself that kind of has a lot of baggage with it. That's why I like to use the word reverence more when it comes to talking about how we dress and the significance behind it, because the word modesty implies a little bit of a keeping things in check and making sure that things don't get too out of control or too crazy. There's a little bit of a more negative implication, whereas with reverence, it's something that we are upholding. It's something that is so beautiful and sacred that it demands respect and protection, and it empowers women to really understand their role and to see how incredible it is to be a woman. So if we talk to young girls about, wow, it's amazing to be a woman, like, look at how we were made, it will call them to want to dress in a way that expresses that, so that has reverence to that beautiful body of theirs, and to express the beauty of their soul. And lastly, when we are talking about modesty, we have to really encourage young girls and women or our friends to really invest in their worth first. We have to look at who we are in relation to God. So when I talk to young girls, I try and tell them, it's the creator of the universe who also created you too. That in creating this world, God was like, you know what? This world is pretty great, but I think Sarah needs to exist too. I want her to exist in eternity with me. Wow, okay, the same God that made the galaxies also wanted me to exist. It's personal. It's really personal. And we need to understand who we are in relation to God and how he sees us in order to want to express that ourselves, or to see that in ourselves as well. You were created on purpose. It was not an accident. And you are entirely one of a kind. No one has come before you who is like you, and no one will come after you who is like you either. Don't you deserve to dress in a way that expresses that? Why not use the way that we dress as an opportunity to express our originality and to express who we are, made in the image of God? Of course, with modesty, we have to have a spirit of forgiveness with ourselves and with others. Because the core of modesty is self-worth, we know that self-worth is sometimes like this, or our concept of self-worth is like this. Our self-worth doesn't change, but the way that we see our worth does, which comes out physically. So be forgiving with yourself and how you dress, But most importantly, just keep on fighting, keep on working on your self-worth. Keep on getting up every day and trying to put on an outfit that uniquely expresses your identity. And I think that you'll find that as time goes on, modesty will be something that comes naturally to you. If you enjoyed this video, watch my next video where I go through all the different ways that personal style and how you dress is really important and significant. And it might help you in your journey towards developing your personal style. Modesty isn't all about, wait, hold on. Rewind.